All right, so today we're going to be looking into this recall that's been in the news lately.
Yeah.
2 million pastries
Wow.
pulled off the shelves, and we're not talking about, just like a few broken cookies or something. This is a massive recall,
It is.
hitting some big names. Even Dunkin got caught in the crossfire.
Oh, wow.
And what's even more concerning is that this isn't, your average tummy ache kind of recall. We're talking about Listeria. And that's where things start to get a little bit serious.
Yeah, the scale of this recall is definitely eye-catching.
Yeah.
2 million products.
It's a lot of pastries.
That's enough to raise eyebrows for sure.
Yeah.
But the fact that it's been upgraded to a Class 2 recall, I think, really underscores the potential health risks.
Okay, so Class 2 recall, I hear that and I think, okay, that's got to be something to do with, like, how sick you can get. But what does that actually mean for us?
So it means there's a real possibility of getting sick from these pastries. Though most people will likely recover with some treatment.
Yeah.
However, the FDA uses this interesting word when describing the chance of serious consequences.
Okay.
Remote.
Remote?
It makes you think about what they consider remote,
Right.
especially with something like Listeria involved.
So Listeria, I've heard of it, but I'm a little fuzzy on the details.
Yeah.
Is it just food poisoning?
It is a foodborne illness,
Okay.
but it's a particularly nasty one.
Okay.
Listeria is a bacteria that can lead to listeriosis, a serious infection.
Oh, okay.
What's alarming is that it's the third leading cause of death from foodborne illnesses in the U.S.
Wow.
We're talking about 1,600 infections and 260 deaths per year.
That puts it into perspective.
Yeah.
So beyond, just the usual suspects with something like this vomiting fever, what kind of symptoms should we be on the lookout for?
Well, those are definitely part of the picture.
Right.
But Listeria can go much deeper.
Okay.
Things like headaches, a stiff neck, confusion, loss of balance.
Wow.
Even convulsions can be signs of listeriosis.
Convulsions. So this is officially beyond, your bad takeout situation.
It's definitely not something you want to brush off as a simple stomach bug.
Right. And it sounds like certain groups need to be extra careful. Right.
Absolutely. Pregnant women, newborns, adults over 65, and anyone with a weakened immune system are at the highest risk of developing serious complications.
So it's a good reminder to check in on your loved ones.
Yeah.
Who might fall into those categories.
Absolutely.
Make sure they're aware. It's crazy to think that something as seemingly innocent as a donut could pose such a serious health risk. It reminds me of that boar's head recall last July.
Oh, right.
Also due to Listeria, it seems like we're hearing about these large-scale recalls more and more often.
You're right. And that civic science survey we looked at reflects that growing concern.
So,
81% of people are at least somewhat worried about food recalls, and a full third are very concerned.
that's a lot.
What's even more telling is that 16% of people have actually changed their shopping habits because of these recalls.
Wow. That's a huge number.
It is.
That makes you wonder, how have these recalls affected your shopping habits?
Right.
Have you become more cautious about certain brands or products? We'd love to hear your thoughts on this.
It's fascinating how something like a donut recall can make us question our entire food system.
Totally. If something as common as pastries can be contaminated, what does that say about the safety measures in place?
Yeah.
Where do things go wrong?
It really makes you think, is this a sign of cracks in the system?
Right.
Or are we just getting better at identifying problems before they snowball into major outbreaks?
Yeah, that's a good point. Maybe all this increased scrutiny and information sharing is actually making us more aware of recalls.
Right.
Even if the actual number of incidents hasn't changed that much.
That's a possibility. I
Yeah.
mean, we're living in a hyper-connected world. News travels at lightning speed. Any slip-up, any contamination can trigger a ripple effect across the entire food industry.
Across the whole industry.
Yeah.
Yeah, and regulatory agencies are definitely feeling the heat, facing more pressure than ever to keep our food supply safe.
Right.
It's almost like a paradox, though.
Yeah.
Increased awareness might lead to a perception of increased risk. Even if the underlying reality is more complex.
Right.
But it still leaves me wondering, what can we do as consumers to navigate this landscape?
Yeah.
I mean, we can't just rely solely on the system
Yeah.
to catch every problem before it reaches our plates.
Absolutely. It's all about being proactive.
Okay.
Staying informed about recalls is a good first step.
Right.
But we can't stop there.
Okay.
It's also about being mindful of what we buy, how we handle our food at home,
Right.
and being aware of potential risks when eating out.
Okay, so it's about taking ownership of our food safety
Mm-hmm.
instead of just passively trusting that it's all going to be okay.
Yeah.
But where do we even begin? Should I start washing my produce with soap and water, inspecting every package with a magnifying glass?
Well, those measures might offer some peace of mind, but they aren't foolproof.
Right.
Take Listeria, for example.
Okay.
This bacteria is notorious for its ability to survive
Yeah.
in a wide range of environments.
Right.
It can even thrive at refrigerator temperatures.
Even if I'm diligently scrubbing my fruits and veggies,
Right.
I could still be at risk.
It's true, but don't panic.
Okay.
There are still effective ways to minimize that risk.
Okay.
Thoroughly cooking your food is one of the most reliable ways to kill Listeria.
Okay.
So make sure those pastries are heated,
Right.
the recommended temperature.
No more raw cookie dough.
No more sneaking a bite of raw cookie dough.
Okay, got it. What about ready-to-eat products, though, like the ones that are involved in this recall? I can't exactly bake a donut that's already been baked.
Right, and that's where careful handling and storage come into play. Simple things like washing your hands before and after handling food.
Right.
Keeping raw meats separate from ready-to-eat items.
Okay.
And refrigerating leftovers promptly can go a long way in preventing contamination.
So it's really about practicing good food hygiene at home and when we're out and about.
Exactly.
Like if I'm grabbing a donut on the go, I should maybe pause for a second.
Yeah.
Consider, has this been handled properly?
Mm-hmm.
Has this been sitting out for too long?
Exactly. And when in doubt, always err on the side of caution.
Right.
It's better to miss out on a pastry than to risk a serious illness.
You got a point there.
Yeah.
This whole situation also makes me think about the companies involved.
Yeah.
Like, what's their responsibility in ensuring food safety? Are they doing enough to prevent these kinds of incidents from happening in the first place?
That's a complex issue with no easy answers.
Right.
Food companies are caught between a rock and a hard place.
Yeah.
They need to produce large quantities of food at affordable prices.
Right.
While also meeting increasingly stringent safety standards.
It's like walking a tightrope.
Yeah.
Between efficiency and safety.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes it feels like safety gets compromised in the process.
It can.
But where are the regulatory bodies in all of this? Isn't the FDA supposed to be overseeing these operations?
Mm-hmm.
Making sure everything is up to code?
They do play a crucial role.
Okay.
They set safety standards, conduct inspections, and issue recalls when necessary.
Okay.
But they face challenges too.
Okay.
They often have limited resources.
Right.
And have to constantly adapt to new food production technologies.
Right.
And an increasingly globalized food supply chain.
So it's a multifaceted problem with no easy solutions.
Yeah.
It sounds like everyone, food companies, regulatory agencies, us consumers, all have a part to play in keeping our food supply safe.
Exactly. It's a shared responsibility.
Okay.
We can't just point fingers and expect someone else to fix the problem.
It's almost overwhelming to think about all the potential risks lurking in our kitchens and grocery stores.
Yeah.
But it's also empowering to realize that we have agency in this situation.
Absolutely. We don't need to become paranoid germaphobes.
Right.
But we should stay informed, be proactive, and take steps to protect ourselves.
Okay.
Knowledge and awareness are our best defenses.
Speaking of knowledge, do we have any updates on this specific recall? What's the latest from FGF Brands, the company at the center of it all?
As of our last check, they haven't issued any statements beyond the initial FDA announcement.
Okay.
They're likely busy investigating the source of the contamination,
Right.
trying to contain the situation.
Well, hopefully they get to the bottom of it soon and prevent any further spread of Listeria.
Yeah.
We'll certainly keep our ears to the ground and let you know if any new information comes to light. But let's shift gears for a moment
Okay.
and talk about the human element of all this.
Yeah.
We've been dissecting the science and the logistics, but how are people actually reacting to this news?
Right.
Are they scared? Are they angry? Are they confused?
It's a mixed bag, really. Some people, especially those in high-risk groups, are understandably concerned.
Right.
Others are more frustrated,
Yeah.
feeling like these recalls are becoming a recurring nightmare.
I can definitely relate to that frustration.
Yeah.
It's like, seriously, another recall.
Right.
But beneath that frustration, there's often a deeper sense of unease. We trust our food system to provide safe and nourishing food for ourselves and our families.
Right.
When that trust is shaken, it can be really unsettling.
Absolutely. Food isn't just about sustenance.
Right.
It's intertwined with our health well-being and sense of security.
Right.
When that's threatened, it's natural to feel vulnerable.
So where do we go from here?
Yeah.
Do we just accept these recalls as the new normal?
Yeah.
Or is there a way to reclaim that sense of trust in our food system?
That's the million-dollar question.
Yeah.
The food landscape is constantly evolving and new challenges are always emerging. But I think the key is to stay engaged.
Okay.
Keep learning and advocate for change.
It's like we're on a continuous journey of improvement, constantly learning and adapting to new information,
Right.
new challenges.
Exactly. And that journey involves all of us.
Okay.
Consumers, producers, regulators, scientists, working together to create a food future that's safer and healthier for everyone.
That's a really empowering thought.
Yeah.
It's not about assigning blame. It's about collective action and working towards a common goal.
It is. And that brings us to a crucial question.
Okay.
What does this wave of large-scale recalls tell us about the overall state of our food safety system?
Are we headed towards a future where food scares are just a part of life? Or can we actually build a more resilient and trustworthy system?
Yeah. It feels like we're at a crossroads.
Yeah.
On one hand, we're seeing more recalls, more headlines about contamination.
Right.
And it's easy to just kind of get discouraged. But on the other hand, we're also more informed than ever before.
Yeah.
We have access to all this information. We can connect with others who share our concerns.
We can demand better from the companies and agencies that are, responsible for keeping our food safe.
That's a really crucial point.
Yeah.
This isn't about resigning ourselves
to
a future of constant food scares.
Right.
It's about channeling our awareness into action.
Okay.
We can push for stronger regulations, support companies that prioritize ethical and sustainable practices, and make informed choices as consumers.
So it's not just about washing our hands and checking for recalls.
Right.
It's about taking a more active role in shaping the food landscape.
Exactly.
But what does that look like in practice? What are some concrete steps we can take to make a real difference?
Well, it starts with education.
Okay.
We need to understand how our food system works, where the vulnerabilities lie, and what we can do to mitigate those risks.
Okay.
That means reading labels, researching brands, asking questions about sourcing and production practices.
It sounds like we need to become more discerning consumers. Not just, grabbing the cheapest or most convenient option, but really thinking about the bigger picture.
Exactly. And beyond our individual choices, we can also advocate for systemic change.
Okay.
We can support organizations that are working to improve food safety standards.
Right.
Contact our elected officials to voice our concerns and hold companies accountable for their actions.
So it's a multi-pronged approach, being informed consumers, advocating for change, and supporting a food system that prioritizes safety and sustainability. It's a big task, but it feels less daunting when we realize we're not alone in this.
Absolutely. There's a growing movement of people who are passionate about food safety and sustainability. By connecting with others who share our values, we can amplify our voices and create a collective force for positive change.
That's a really hopeful message. It's not about living in fear of the next recall.
Right.
It's about taking ownership, demanding better, and working together to create a food future that we can all feel good about.
And that, I think, is the ultimate takeaway from our deep dive today.
Yeah.
It's not just about donuts and pastries.
Right.
It's about recognizing that we have a stake in the health and resilience of our food system. It's about asking questions, seeking information, and using our collective power to create a future where food safety is a given, not a gamble.
It's been a fascinating and insightful journey.
Yeah.
And I hope our listeners feel empowered to take action. We've explored the science, the risks and the complexities, but we've also uncovered a path forward.
Right.
A path towards a more transparent, sustainable, and ultimately safer food system.
Remember, knowledge is power.
Yeah.
And when we combine that knowledge with action, we can create real change.
Yeah.
So keep asking those questions, stay curious, and never underestimate your ability to make a difference.
And on that note, we'll wrap up our deep dive for today. Thanks for joining us. Stay safe and happy eating.